Hello YouTube, I'm back with my Black Saiyan deck, and the reason why I was playing Haruka Kanata from Naruto, because I'm actually against a black Naruto deck, as you can tell. So obviously we start off with Aisha. It's been a while since I played this deck. I want to try something different besides Beals because playing the same deck repetitively gets annoying, so I want to spice things up with something different that I haven't played for a while, just to get the excitement going, if you guys hope what I know what I mean. So I'm pretty sure you hope you know what I mean, obviously. You want to see something different, something old school, my original archetype. The first archetype I created, one of my very first custom videos was Black Saiyans, and I want to try the original, obviously. And you already know what's capable of. Considering I'm playing a lot of brick monsters, they become worth it when you combine them with your spells. So I can manage to summon Zeon thanks to Black Saiyan Evolution's effect. But I'm locked into Black Saiyan monsters that don't activate this effect. So that includes from my main deck, from the deck or graveyard. Alright. So I'm going to use Black Saiyan Pride, which I activated with Zeon's effect. I'm going to tribute Aisha to go into Elijah. Elijah's effect activates, allows me to search for a black card from my deck or graveyard to my hand, which is going to be Monroe. And I do like the flaw that they have, like considering they're all level 8s, but if you manage to play this deck correctly, they're very powerful and are heavily viable. But with the only issues without the spells, this deck is completely dead. So they do play a huge factor for this archetype, and it's what keeps the deck alive. Alright. Like you could tell just the amount of synergy they have with Trade-In, Allure of Darkness. You can't go wrong with these cards. They always allow you to draw, and they're not once per turn. So in a way, this archetype is built for Trade-In Allure of Darkness, and essentially makes this deck the most consistent. And I'm not even sure what I'm naming this video. Either I would probably call it Black Saiyans versus Black Shinobis. Not Black Naruto. It doesn't really make sense. He paused the game by mistake. So right now I'm locked into level and rank 8 or higher monsters thanks to Black Wall Street. I think he misclicked. Let's see. Let's find out from the chat. Yep. Okay, he misclicked. And we're gonna summon our main boy, which you're gonna see now. Let me play it here. Black Saiyan Moses, who's basically the ace of the Black Saiyan deck. And I'm sure you're aware what his effect is capable of. It allows you to attach 1 to add from the grave, which is Trade-In. Like I said, this Trade-In and Lore are literally built for this archetype. You're literally meant to play these cards to keep the deck even more consistent. Probably why, if this deck was printed in the TCG, just imagine it would be considered like the top contending meta deck, as well as the most consistent, because the fact that they synergize with Trade-In as well as Lure Darkness. Like, imagine if Trade-In and Lure was part of the archetype. Like, if they had the name for Black Saiyans, easily searchable, you'd be getting tons of loads of draw power regardless of the cost, and you benefit by basically tributing them, discarding and banishing them, because you have ways to axe them with your other monster effects as well as possibly Black Saiyan spell traps. And I kind of got confused. I think he's referring to their effects when I use them during my battle phase. And I even said the reason why I even gave them these effects, it may seem broken, but it's due to the fact that they're all level 8s. You can't simply outright summon these cards. You need spells actions specifically support them in order to essentially summon these cards, because if you draw too many black Saiyan monsters without any spell traps, or if you don't have any black Saiyan monsters that search into your spell traps, they're heavily dead and you're forced to scoop. So, and although that may seem annoying, it makes it so that for the cost of like having to use other cards to get access to them, you have a chance of overcoming threats. But at least it doesn't affect them. It doesn't affect the opponent during their battle, so they still have a chance to attack over them. But like potentially, yeah, if they draw a brick and you manage to summon these guys, considering you have like permanent spells, traps that just constantly summons them from your hand or grave. But at the end of the day, it's like at least it's not to the point where you can't play the game. You can still manage to play the game, but it just seems unfair because I kind of agree. Like I get the point that he's making, but the reason why I even gave them effects, not only because they're effects and they're summoning conditions, not simply because they're high level monsters, but in a way I feel like they kind of correlate with the Saiyans in the Dragon Ball universe. Because they're always, if you ever hear the tale of the Saiyans, they're always known to just grow stronger every single battle. And that's the point I'm trying to bring up. I'm trying to like let people understand that there is some similarity with the Saiyans of the Dragon Ball universe that are similar due to the fact that it is said that they always get stronger every single battle. So I feel like in a way the effects essentially make sense. But if I were to give them those kind of power effects, then they have to be monsters that can easily be summoned on their own, where they have their own inherent special summons. Only a few. There's only two or three that have inherent summons, but it also depends on your opponent. It also depends on your hand. But the majority of the monsters don't have the effects where they have inherent special summons. So you got to find a way to actually summon them out of your hand or from your deck. And hopefully you draw a spell. Besides a trap, you want to draw a spell. Most likely, most importantly, you have to, because it ensures that it gives the deck a chance of even playing the archetype. It helps you make way for the deck, for them to actually build their board. And it may sound confusing. I'm just trying to get my point across. But for those who play Yu-Gi-Oh, this is all just for fun. And I'm giving clear information as well as being detailed as to the cards. So I might not recall what I just said. I don't want to repeat myself. And I'm pretty sure I am. But I want to repeat myself as well, just in case like you guys aren't clear as to what I've how I made these cards, how I edited them, and the effort was pretty flawless in my opinion. So, because it's something nobody could imagine that would give the deck that much synergy, and but at the same time, like make them seem legit. They do seem legit, to be real, because it just seems accurate for the cards. When you think of Saiyans, and because they reference Dragon Ball Z, the Saiyans from the Dragon Ball Z series, I feel like the effect 100% suits them. So, and usually archetypes they have effects where they synergize or they're similar because they want Konami to make people realize, players, their consumers, to realize that this is how the deck plays, and that's what they're capable of. And that way, when in reality, it's just the name that matters. Not only the name, it's also the effects, because to give the archetype its very own theme, and what it's capable of, and how their playstyle works. In which that's how the Black Saiyans work. You can't obviously summon them easily. They barely have any inherent summons, but the fact is that they're there to overcome threats. Just like in the Dragon Ball Z series when you think of Goku and Vegeta. But this is basically a new hybrid of Black Saiyans. Besides them just being like from the anime and characters that don't exist in Dragon Ball Z, but are similar, but in a way inspired Black pop culture as well. By Black culture as well as anime pop culture. So in a way, it encourages people to actually enjoy it. And we already have someone who's influenced by Black culture as well. We're already looking at the Black Naruto cards, but only issue is okay. It's a black deck. That's fine. Okay, but I'm just probably have to just call it the Black Archetype or for for easy detail, easy title for the archetype. Better just call them Black Ninjas or Black Shinobis. But that's what they're supposed to be. And I assume they're beast. One of them is a beast warrior. It's mainly made up of warriors and beast warriors. All right. I don't know if Black Naruto is the only beast warrior or that I'm not aware of, but there's no way I can find out unless he would show me the cards himself. And I'm about to take a heavy amount of damage, so the thing you'll like the people would appreciate about this deck, the Black Saiyan archetype, there isn't that many like Omni negates. It has some sort of disruption depending on what monster you summon, um, revolving around Black Saiyans or anything that they have access to from the extract. That in particular, that names that can be mentioned. But I'm not sure what other cards besides Black Saiyan monsters could make this deck more abusable. So I was stupid earlier. When I first summoned Destiny, I should have used the effect the moment I special summoned a monster. But I don't know. Game on. Yeah. Okay. So it doesn't just work during my opponent's turn. It can work uh during my turn as well. But I was stupid to forget. But letting him know that if he special summons a monster, or either player special summons a monster, I'm gonna draw a card thanks to Destiny. But in response, I'm wondering who's he resolving. I found out he's using Black Kakashi, but in response, I chain with Black Saiyan Surge. Since I control Black Saiyan monster with 2,000 or more attack, the effect changes. It becomes I pay 800. I special summon one Dark Attribute and or Warrior type monster from my graveyard banjo to the field instead. Alright, who am I going to summon? So I'm going to be summoning Monroe. Alright, I'm going to be using Monroe's effect. It's pretty highly aware how the effect resolves, how the effect activates. You got to control Dark Attribute monster with different names, which I do clearly have. So that's 4. I already have insane amount of draw power thanks to this deck. So I don't even think the effect for Destiny during my turn would have mattered because I already only have 15 cards in my main deck that you see. I almost mixed up from extra deck because usually that's how many cards you're supposed to have in the extra deck. So right now winning on my opponent. So he's going to summon Black Naruto from the tuning exam, and he's going to activate Chidori, but in response I'm going to chain with Black Saiyan Instinct. So I banish one of my Black Saiyan monsters. He's forced to banish all of his monsters, and my monster returns during my second standby phase. Alright, cool. Yeah. He lets me know that most of his... he does say GG. The only thing I'm surprised is that, like, I would try to nerf my cards, I'll be honest, I do. But consider how complicated custom duels are. You have people who make the most absurd cards that should never even exist in the game. That have no concept of fair play. That would outright get banned if Konami were to make a emergency ban list, seriously. But I'll admit, these effects, the first effects for the Black Saiyan monsters are very inherently busted. But the issue is that like you want people want to see powerful decks. They want to see decks that can blend in with the format. And for each and every new current format, he already met defeat either way. So for each and every new current format, they expect cards to improve and be better than the previous format, than the previous meta decks. So that way, people can say that the game itself is becoming more powerful, that they can engage with these new decks, and it makes the game, when people see powerful decks, it makes the game more exciting. And although there would be less interaction, because basically in Yu-Gi-Oh you have to pretty much invest in a new deck every single time Konami releases something that that basically overshadows the previous old decks, then it's like, what really matters the most? Your budget or playing competitive, but at the same time, are you trying to impress your friends or Konami? But is it really worth it? You should just play a deck that you enjoy the most. I think that's what matters, as long as it can compete. But if you see fit that this deck is meant for you, that you will make it worth the investment, then you might as well proceed with it. But just don't invest something just because you think it's going to break the meta or it's going to outright win you the majority of your duels. Just play a deck that you feel comfortable with, that doesn't hurt your budget too much, that in a way you can try to focus more about enjoying the game rather than having the best deck, because not every deck is going to be the best deck. Eventually it will be hit. There are decks that will be considered top tier. So just because something's top tier does not entirely mean it's going to be the best deck for too long, because usually the best deck would mean a deck that never loses. This deck will lose depending what I draw, but at the same time it's like it all depends on your hand, and it's best to focus on trying to improve the deck, whatever strategy you're trying to achieve, and what you accomplished on your own by putting some thoughts in how you can engage in a duel, even if it means that there's something that will outright be a problem in the future. Black Saiyans may be one of them if they were to exist, but I don't see any issue as depending how the deck would result in a fair game. So that's all I have to say, you guys. This, I would say, is the most intriguing duel, and I hope the most from the comments, expecting more in a good impression, some interesting thoughts and opinions, as well as being eager and excited that you got to see this duel and witness it on my channel. But enough said. Again, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Be sure to check for more upcoming content later in the future. Be sure to check your notifications. Comment, like, subscribe. Thank you.